Hi, this is Billy Campbell from Sci-Fi's Helix, and you are listening to GenreTainment.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of GenreTainment over here at SciFiPulseRadio.com. We're your hosts, Marks
and Julie. GenreTainment is where we talk about what's happening in the world of film, TV, and web series. We give you interviews with writers, directors, producers, and actors in both independent and not-so-independent creations. Now for this episode, we are speaking with Gabe Michael, the founder of Forge Apollo.
We talked to him about Forge Apollo's new sci-fi series Ambient, their science series Technium, and their football talk show Blitzed. Plus some other upcoming projects like Cubicle Zombies.
Woohoo!
Also, Michael gives us some great tips for web series creators.
And don't forget about the goats or the judgmental smart cars.
Of course, how could I forget that?
Mm-hmm.
One thing I do want to mention is that we recorded this interview the week before we went to Las Vegas to attend the International Academy of Web Television Awards.
Mm-hmm.
I had the honor to present the award for Best of Writing Nonfiction with my co-presenter, talented actress Lindsay Middleton from the series Out with Dad.
Or Oat with Dad.
It's Canadian. You didn't get that joke. Gosh.
Oat with Dad.
You'll hear us talk about that upcoming award show, at least the upcoming at the time of that recording. And
Past now. Yeah. Try to keep track.
And ironically, it's like time travel.
It's like 12 Monkeys in a radio show. Okay.
And ironically, I actually got to present him the award for his show, Technium. Now, we scheduled the interview well before I knew that he was going to win that. So it was really fun to meet him in person that way after recording the interview.
Yes, it was.
So congrats to him and Forge Apollo.
Now, before we start the interview, we do want to point out that the music you just heard at the beginning of the show was a snippet from the theme song for our web series, Reality on Demand. It was a song composed and performed by our friend T-Sean Hardy, and you can find our web series at realityondemandseries.com. Now let's get started with our interview with Gabe Michael.
Technology. What at first was an attempt to control and adapt to our environment became humanity's great connector. A thriving network of thought, connectivity, knowledge, and wonder. Part of our evolution. But what if someone took that force and changed it in its code? The processing power of a global network set out to destroy us all.
Well, hi, Gabe. Welcome back to GenreTainment.
Hey, guys. How are you? Thanks for having me back.
Now, we first spoke to you, I guess, as Forge Apollo was pretty much starting, as the channel was starting. I mean, you've grown a lot since then. You had lots of new shows. Speaking of which, one of the main ones, it's a brand new show we wanted to talk about, is your new scripted series, Ambient. Tell our listeners about that show.
Ambient has been our labor of love for the last 2 years. I think we actually just shot it after the first time we appeared on your show, or we were prepping to shoot it. And it's a series about a ragtag group of hackers that fight against this computer virus that has figured out a way to take over and kill most of the people in the world. So definitely a sci-fi thriller.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Kind of like emits a sound, right, and kills people? That's why.
Yeah, so the virus is kind of figured out how to hack all the global networks, and through all our electronic devices, it has found a way to tap into a frequency that can kill humans.
So basically, the only way is if you happen to be living off the grid in the middle of nowhere, you're safe. Otherwise, you're out of luck, huh?
That's right. Or, unless you have noise-canceling headphones nearby, but, who does?
Well, we might see the sales spike now.
There we go.
So how many episodes are there?
So there's 5 chapters, so 5 episodes, and we first started Ambient as it was a film, and for budgetary reasons and just because we liked the format more, we wanted to chop it up and make it into a 35-minute series. So we actually have the full complete run of all 5 chapters on our Vimeo page that you can go and either own, rent, or we can just send you a copy if you're a fan. We're not necessarily in it for the money on it.
And I haven't watched every episode yet. I haven't watched the ending yet. So is this going to be a standalone, or will there be more seasons?
As of now, we did it as a standalone, but of course we left it open for more. You always have to leave that extra little element there. And we're going to just see how it does. The reception was really well the first couple weeks when we put it out. We got a lot of views across all the different episodes, and we're just going to kind of see what the traction's like and what the people say. And we're thinking that we may want to go back and just use kind of the same characters and just slowly create chapter 6, chapter 7, or we could just do a whole full new season and dump it like we did this last time.
And is that what you did? You did like a binge release, like kind of like what Netflix does, where just a whole season was out?
Yeah, we figured, we're going to be telling all of our friends about it and, our growing audience that we have. So we figured if we have their ear once, we should be able to just, and they happen to like chapter 1, they should be able and ready to watch chapter 2 right then and there. And then we said, well, if they're going to watch chapter 2, they might as well be able to watch chapter 3 and so on. So, the medium's evolving as you know, and we're just trying different things depending on the different shows and different marketing techniques, and just trying to really find different ways to find the audience that we're looking for.
So you're doing different ways of releasing the different shows then?
Yeah, different ways of releasing the different shows. Like we have our show Technium, which actually we'll be at the IAW TV Awards with in a couple weeks here. Mm-hmm. And that one is a weekly series, and we've done about 6 episodes so far of that. We brought Lana McKissick, who's a awesome YouTuber, and she's our host on the show. And so for that one, it was we shot them all around the same time, but we did start releasing them weekly, and then it turned into bi-weekly after that. And we just kind of experimented with the format and seeing what works best for for viewership.
Great. That's a good idea.
I do want to talk a little bit more about that show in a minute here, but before we do that, with Ambient, can you tell us a little bit more about like interesting concept, interesting twist on the, I guess, the Skynet kind of concept in a way?
Yeah.
Where did that concept come from?
Ryan, as you remember, he was on the show last time, my business partner. Him and I actually, this was our first thing that we did before we even had Forge Apollo. We started working on this story. And before we actually got our investment to create our company, this was just a script that we've been working on. We partnered up with an awesome writer named Rob Katecki that went to grad school at UCLA with me. And it was one of those labors of love things. We worked over the course of a couple years and tried to get some financing for it as a feature film. And then once we started Forge Apollo and really were focused on the digital series and the digital side of things, we said, let's just take this thing that we've been working on and kind of turn it into what it is now. I
think you first started with like little short films, right?
Yeah, we started with, we were going to do kind of the model of what Black Box TV was doing at the time, which was just short kind of vignettes, short films, like all based around a theme. So ours was like science fiction, which we love. And we're still going to continue to make these types of shorts, but we were trying to do it on a weekly basis. And we learned soon after talking to you guys that it's very hard to make quality products that fast with that fast of turnaround while still trying to make money and live your life.
It is a challenge.
I just definitely got a flash. There was like a joke about a goat being in there.
There was.
That's right. Because did you ever put in a goat? I never saw a goat.
We didn't. There's a moose in one episode, but we never quite got the goat. I do remember the goat.
I think that was from the 2 minutes of goats yelling like humans, which I say to this day is still the funniest thing I've ever seen.
And I still agree. And at the time, our goal was to be able to take just general concepts or ideas of what our fans have and kind of just turn those into stories that we kind of, so like basically sourcing ideas or just one small thing from a story, and then we kind of just take it and run with it. And we did do that, and we have a couple of those for a couple of our shorts, and it was just doing that and Ambient and Technium, and we had a lot on our plate, so we're going to still make those. And the goat is still a possibility.
Okay, now it's a goat, a rabbit, and a cat. So,
now it's growing. Yeah, wow.
A goat, a rabbit, and a cat.
This sounds like a bad joke.
Well, minus the goat, we've got the others started in our household already. So it's a source of entertainment.
I might just send you guys a goat and just see. it'll be one of those long running jokes.
Well, I wonder how the goat would like it in our house.
I don't know. Let's talk a little more about Ambient, about the cast.
Yeah.
Who are the main cast of characters and actors who play them?
Quiz time.
So we actually got a really nice.
Their middle initials.
I do remember. Yes.
And date of birth. Where they're from.
So the starring in is Ryan Holloway, my partner, who actually couldn't be here today. So he said to say hello and that he misses you and that he'll get a goat for you. And then we have the beautiful Allegra Lucchesi. We have actually Tim Colseri. I don't know if you guys were able to catch that. He is in Full Metal Jacket. He's the guy that has the famous line that's "Get some, ain't war hell," and he plays General Weston in the film or in the series.
Okay.
He's the one that kind of, as you'll see, has something bad happen to him in episode 4. We also have Jared Duplass, who was in the Hard Times of J.R. Berger and has just been in a ton of other series and movies. Believe he was in Transformers 2 as well. And Caleb Roumnier as well, who's in Finding Carter now. This was one of his first projects that he did, moving out to Los Angeles, and then right after that he got on a MTV TV show.
Great.
That's cool.
So we're very happy for him. He's a very nice guy, and it was a great time just working on it. We did have a lot of secondary and background characters throughout the series, and it was just, for me, it was managing and running very large scenes, 9 or 10 people scenes at times, and it was difficult and overwhelming at at certain points, but the cast kind of stuck together and all really got along. We didn't have any problems, and everybody turned out to be pretty good actors.
What was one of the most challenging things you faced working on this show?
Well, we shot it over about 10 days, and one of the most challenging things was there was a rap video being shot at the same location as Ambient, and if you've seen the series, there's supposed to be no ambient noise, and so it was very difficult shooting around these guys. They weren't really helping us out in any sense, but we kind of got through it. Actually, our days weren't that long. They were pretty standard days when we were shooting. But another big challenge was on our last couple days we mistold some of the actors what time their arrival times and the times that they were leaving, and one of them actually was working on 2 shows on the same day, and we were out in Simi Valley, and so we had to actually cut about 3 or 4 scenes that were supposed to be in episode 5.
Oh.
Yeah, so they were very important, not that important to the story enough that we didn't necessarily have to have them, but
the ending.
It was the ending.
It was the end. We just don't have an end.
Yeah. They decided that goats could destroy the virus.
That's what you need. You just eat goats.
That's right.
Because they'll eat anything.
We just cut to about 40 seconds of black at the end, and just we let the imagination take over.
I'm just trying to imagine how hard it would be to avoid any ambient noise in general in LA.
Yeah, it's tough.
The traffic hum alone.
I still remember.
Yes.
I still remember one of those asylum movies, Abraham Lincoln versus Zombies or whatever.
Yeah.
How there's you can hear an ambulance in the background.
And a plane. At one point there was a plane, and it was supposed to be during the Civil War, and there was an airplane in the air, and. It was hilarious. And Mark's was like, "Did you hear that ambulance?"
Yeah. And in one Clint Eastwood movie, he's wearing a watch that they only had timepieces. There's this was the first thing that I had to do that I really had to worry about. These things of real life can't actually just come in here. And for the budget that we had, it was very difficult to make this type of big world that we've kind of created in this army bunker, which is really just a big warehouse. Right outside of that was a train track, which when we found the location, we saw, but we're told that track, it doesn't run anymore. So we said, okay, great. And then of course it comes to shooting, and every 6 minutes on the dot, the train comes through. You have to imagine episode 4, when the whole reveal about what the virus actually is kind of comes out. It's one of the most important things of the whole series. During this big scene, we just had to cut, right when the actors were getting into it, you hear train come through, and it's just listening to all the raw footage. It's just, you hear everybody scream or go in uproar right when something was just going so well. And train, yeah. Our poor sound guy Kyle just really was pretty much done at the end of that one.
Yeah, I was filming something one time, and it was every 15 minutes. It was a big church clock that would like chime. Do, do, do.
Oh no.
And then when it would get to the hour, it did a whole song. Do, do, do. And it like did this like first verse of some hymn or whatever. And it just went on. And I mean, so everything was in 15-minute intervals for the whole time we filmed.
Yep.
It was, 15 minutes is much better than 6.
Yes, it is. Eventually you get into a groove when you're about 45 minutes, an hour behind, you kind of figure it out with everybody, and it kind of becomes part of it. It becomes part of the scene, It's like everybody's waiting for this thing, so it adds a little bit to it, At least that's what I'm saying.
It lights a fire under you. That's what it does.
Yeah.
That's right. Absolutely.
So you did mention Technium.
Yeah.
We love science shows and talk about science.
Because we're geeks.
Yeah. And it's an entertaining and educational show.
It's edutainment.
Yes. So how's that show first conceived? How'd you go from, doing those shorts to starting to do shows like Technium?
Well, before we actually started Forge Apollo, I worked at Break Media, which is now Defy Media, and I produced a show called Man at Arms for the first round of it, and I kind of helped the director kind of like shape it, and I just really liked the concept. And in that show, if you haven't seen it, it's a blacksmith who creates weapons for like basically all the movies in Hollywood. Like he's been the guy.
I've seen that.
You've seen it.
Yes.
Yeah, great.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you who hasn't, he creates weapons for all of Hollywood movies, but then we have viewers kind of chime in of what they want to see him make throughout, like, anything that's in all of movie history. So he's making Raphael's size, Jamie Lannister's sword, and this Adventure Time sword. So it's really cool to see that and kind of go. And so Ryan and I actually, not too long after we were on your show the first time, like, we should do a version of that, but sci-fi. And we're like, well, how do we go about doing that? So we're like, well, it's always cool to see sci-fi concepts, and then how close we are to actually attaining those. So that kind of, the show after we were like, well, that's it. That's the entire show. So we looked to find a host, and we finally met with Lana McKissick, and she was just a wonderful person and just perfect for the show. And we just kind of looked to see what companies were close by that were developing concepts that we thought were really interesting. And we kind of just worked backwards. We said, well, okay, cool. We have these guys that are here in LA that are developing this hand that has, that can actually feel. And so we said, what kind of concept like that is in our sci-fi movies? And it's obviously, there's a ton of cyborgs and robotic hands, but Luke Skywalker is the first one that kind of comes to mind for me anyway.
Yes.
And we did that on a couple of other episodes as well, like Bionic Eyes. We did hoverboard, so Marty McFly's hoverboard. How close were we to creating that? And this has been definitely our most acclaimed show, I guess you can say. So far, we've won Best New Series at Synopsis Digital last year, and then we're up for Best Writing in the Series for the IAW TV Awards this year as well.
Yay! So what was one of your favorites?
One of my favorites was actually this episode that was about the technology behind the movie Her. So, like, can a electronic device or artificial intelligence like sense your emotion? And we went to this really cool facility down in San Diego, and this company called Emotioned, and they have the software, and basically you can use just any kind of like Logitech software for teleconferencing, and if you put their software in it, it can just look at your face and sense your emotion at any point. So what they do is like they run these for like ads and movies to like see at what point of you're watching something like, what is your emotion just based on your face? And it's really a lot more technical than just like having a frowny face or, like a really big smile, because what I learned is every little intricacy of your facial movement. So, and they're trying to take that technology and put it towards not just for entertainment purposes and for like, executives to see when a movie works and when it doesn't, but for broader technologies as well, which I thought was pretty fascinating.
Okay, I'm sorry, that's just creepy.
It is a little bit if you think about it. If the camera on the red light that you run can also tell that you're irritated or that you're moody.
If it's doing that to me, I can promise you, if I know it's scanning me, I will always look irritated at that thing. I do not need that in my life. I am not a tech person. I don't like it.
You just look at it and go, don't judge me.
That's right.
I just look at it and be like, look, artificial intelligence, if you're looking at me, I'm going to be irritated. So just know it.
I'm going to be peeved.
Yeah, pretty much. If I know you're looking at me and judging me and trying to figure me out, I'm irritated. That's just all you need to know.
Absolutely. Oh, my goodness.
That's just creepy.
Is there a concept that you were thinking about doing, but you couldn't, something you were too big to be able to tackle yet?
Well, we're working with some companies right now to try and see if there's like any way they can bring on their full technologies and kind of sponsor the show. Mm-hmm. We're kind of getting pretty far with it, which is great. But there's a lot of places like NASA and the Jet Propulsion Laboratory and Tesla and a lot of these motor cars now. You've probably seen at some of the trade shows are like self-parking cars. There's some really cool stuff out there, and we're in and we have the access to do it. We're just trying to find the right time, because sometimes these technologies are overseas or in New York, and we just have to find a way to make that budget kind of work for us to get there. So along with our other work, it kind of puts a little extra challenge in the mix for us when it comes to that.
Yeah, Marks and I are split on the self-parking and self-driving cars.
I'm going to predict that in 10 years, our cars will drive us, and they will also judge us.
Yes, no, this is terrible. Okay,
self-driving and self-judging cars.
Yes.
Because of GPS, people have already forgotten how to read maps. We do not need people to forget how to drive and park their cars. I mean, at some point we're going to be just slugs hooked up to a computer, and everything's going to be done for us, and that is just sad.
That's right. That could be another episode of Technium. It'll be a Wall-E episode.
I'm sorry, not a fan.
That's right.
And I like a car that feels like a car when you drive it. You can feel the engine.
I like it. I like you.
Thank you. See? It's not just me.
That's right. I mean, automatic is probably too much for you.
Yeah, I mean, I drive automatic, but I there's a point in time, I used to know how to drive a stick shift, but it's been so long I'd have a learning curve again. But I learned how to drive on a 1/2-ton farm pickup truck that was a stick shift, and the clutch was, and I was 14 and I was small at 14, so it was such a hard clutch. I had to stand up to shove all my weight down on the clutch to get it down. It was I almost had to stand most of the time to drive this truck just to be able to drive it. And if you can learn to drive on that, you can drive anything.
That sounds about right.
My grandpa taught me, and I was very grateful.
Well, on my first car, my high school friends got me the bus wheel that sticks out, because I didn't have any automatic steering, so I had to like really crank the whole thing, and so it became the joke of the school, and they got me the bus wheel, so I had it on there so I could crank it.
That's awesome. That
is
when the power steering goes.
Power steering,
it is
right.
So hard. Yeah,
Yep.
I had a car that it lost power steering when I turned left, but not right. So I found myself, instead of making a left turn, just making a series of right-hand turns.
Three right turns, right?
So that I could turn left. So, I look like a moron going through parking lots, but I was only doing right
Hey, you were doing you. You were doing what's right for you.
Yeah, I mean, this car, you had to it was automatic, but you had to keep slipping it in and out of gear. And I would have to fill the oil and check the gas. And I had to carry a wrench with me because I knew exactly what to wiggle so I could jump out while my car was still in the street, jump out, pop the hood, wiggle something, get back in and crank it and get going again. So it was it was a car I wished someone would steal, but even if they had, they'd get half a block.
That's right.
Everybody had those cars.
Well, now if that happened, the car would just drive back to you.
Yeah.
So
I'd be like, no, go away.
I'm trying to abandon you.
Why are you disappointed, Julie?
It's like a duckling or a gosling that's imprinted on you.
That's right.
Oh, then I'd feel bad.
Oh, you don't have to feel bad about your car. It's fine.
Yeah. As long as they don't give them too much of a personality. They'll do that to guilt you. That's what will happen.
That's right. You just can't name your car. Your future car, anyway.
Yeah, I name all of them.
Old ones you can, but
yeah,
not
old ones have
new
names. Yeah.
That's right. These new ones are soulless. Yeah.
Like the people who create them. No, sorry.
Whoa.
I'm just sorry, Skynet. That's all I'm saying.
That's right. And
It's
then they'll turn it into they'll hack a frequency and kill you through your cell phone.
Thank you.
Like they do in Ambient. There you go. All comes full circle.
I'm looking out for our listeners.
There we go. That's right.
I think
so. If you start hearing a hum and your head starts to hurt from this, just
that might just
run
be
away.
the sound of my voice. I don't know.
I think it's a really good time for Technium because there's so many breakthroughs happening in technology, like those walking dog things, Amazon drone delivery.
Yep.
I saw something recently with college students who had figured out like a certain audio blast, like a bass to put out a fire.
Oh, and don't forget the hands made with the 3D printers for people who are missing a hand. Yeah. It really is this is the most advancement in technology that humans have seen all at once since the Industrial Revolution, really, I think.
Seems like it.
It's like a second Industrial Revolution. And just imagine what a change
ease of access. And I mean, just look at, the difference between technology last year and this year. And I don't know if you know, but that's what the word Technium actually means. Kevin Kelly, he was a editor of Wired at one point. And he's a futurist, and he kind of coined the term, and it essentially means technology evolving alongside humanity. So the Technium is like the spectrum of evolution of technology. So that's kind of, I'm a big fan of his, and it inspired me to name the show after that. Yeah. Because we want to see that, because it's not really fantasy anymore, any of this stuff. It's very real and very true, and the fact that, in the next 20 years we'll have a colony on Mars and I believe it could even happen sooner than that.
Wow.
And privatizing space, it's an awesome time to be alive. We may be in the middle of being the last humans.
We didn't even have internet when we were growing up.
No, I know.
And they'll get immortality right after we die. It'll be great.
That's right. We're the lost generation. We're the lost gap.
I'm sorry. Immortality sounds like a really bad idea.
I agree.
We have twice as many humans alive as our planet can support right now.
But only one Highlander.
Yeah, no, there can be only one.
That's right.
Now I got that song in my head. I like it.
It's funny.
All right, well, let's switch gears a little bit.
Okay.
We're not usually big sports people, except occasionally MMA.
Yes, we do like to catch our UFC fights.
But we enjoyed, watching.
Love UFC.
Yeah. Yes. We enjoyed watching Blitzed.
We didn't understand all of it. Went completely over my head most of the time. But yeah,
we got a lot of the jokes.
We got a lot of the. Yeah. It was fast paced, had good hosts, and I mean, you could tell it was a very well done show.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. We love our partners at Blitz. They're actually up for IATV award as well. They're up for best director with Aaron McLean. So we're really excited. You guys could potentially meet them there as well. When we go, we'll have to have a drink together.
Yeah.
So that show is one that season 1 they started on their own channel, and I've known the creators of the show for I think over 2 years now, and we just decided to partner up together on season 2, and it was a great time working with those guys. It was a really, really fun show. The crew is just amazing and really hardworking. To do that every week was really, really difficult for them, I know, and I actually just I kind of let them take it and run with it because it was all their ideas, and took a back seat on it. But they did. I'm just really proud of it and the way that it's turned out, and we'll see about what's going to happen with the next season.
Okay, so we haven't watched much of it. Do they ever cover any UFC fights on that?
Nope, it's a strictly football show. Only running during football season, but we're always talking about ways to expand it, and we'll have to see.
We're putting in our vote for that.
Next year if we're going to expand it to broader sports. And
I was just thinking, man, if you did cover other sports, the Anderson Silva's comeback, which
when I was young and started to follow UFC, there was a big deal. Like, it's UFC, it's like once every 6 months or something.
Now it's
it's like every weekend or something.
Yeah. Well, you had to rent it from Blockbuster, right? On VHS?
Much,
or watch it live on satellite or something.
Right.
Or go, I mean, you had to do a pay-per-view or something, at some point too. And now
we were never allowed to do pay-per-view, so I was always a couple months behind and had to watch it on VHS.
Yeah, that's what I saw it on VHS.
Yeah. I mean, if you guys are fans of it and you haven't seen the old, UFC 1 or UFC 2, go find it and watch it. It's in comparison to now. I can't even explain the difference.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I've been a martial artist since in high school, so we started watching it from the very beginning. So
kind of one person that's a sumo guy and another guy who's like a karate guy.
It was a step above WWF.
It wasn't. I mean, they didn't have people cross training in multiple disciplines. No. I mean, with weight classes and like a who knows how many pages list of rules to memorize.
That's right. I think it was actually more like Street Fighter than WWF. I think Street Fighter is the better comparison.
That's probably good. Now it's good.
Because they could hit the groin too back then. Even.
Yeah, they could.
Now they stop it. If someone taps the groin.
I know.
Yeah, all these things you have to do when you become official.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm kind of glad. But
it's safer.
I feel better about myself watching it. So I can defend myself a little bit better now when I tell people, "Oh yeah, I love it," because you wouldn't believe,
Everybody thought it was so terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's mainstream.
If you're a woman and you like it, people think there's something
and now they're
wrong
women
with you.
fighters.
There are. Oh, don't even get me started.
Yep.
I'm still.
She doesn't like.
I don't like Ronda.
Really?
I don't like Ronda Rousey. I'm still just so.
What about
depressed
Gina?
I'm depressed over the Kat Zingano Ronda Rousey bout. I can't even talk about it. It was horrible. But they're getting more women. So they're expanding, they're getting more weight classes, they're cultivating more women fighters, so I think that's going to be good for the sport.
Yeah.
Well, we will take that note and we will think about that for next
and be sure that one of the co-hosts is a goat.
Is it absolutely.
That would be awesome.
So
I know he's thinking about it now.
I'm writing these down.
Yeah.
You guys don't even know.
So what are some of the other shows that you guys have done?
We've been actually doing a lot more in the branded space and doing a lot of commercial production and producing for brands, which has been a great time. Mostly because they pay us, so that's good.
What an amazing concept.
Yeah, exactly. But no, like we've had some great gigs that have come up in the last couple of years, and that's kind of keeping us busy on the other side. So we have to now balance our branded side of producing shows and commercials for others, and then doing our own original shows. So we have a couple different shows that I can't really tell you about right now that we're working on and developing. and we're working with we have this hotel chain, a couple hotel chains that we work with that we're going back to shoot about 3 or 4 more episodes with a couple of famous Viners, and we're flying out to Mexico to shoot that in about 2 weeks now, right after IAW. So we're really in the middle of that and just super excited about it, because it's going to be, not only is it a great time and we get to go shoot on a beautiful resort, but we're gonna work with some interesting people as well.
It's amazing how these Viners have grown, how Vine's grown.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would never have thought it, to be honest. So
people tell us, it's great that you can tell a story in 2 to 3 minutes, or 4 to 5 minutes with some of your shows, but these guys really tell stories in 6 seconds, and it's baffling to me. It's just some of the stuff, you have to be so much more creative almost to get it down to that, and you can produce a lot more because you have a lot more volume that you can put out. So they're awesome. And then these guys that we're going to be working with produce a lot more. They do like YouTube and Instagram videos and things like that as well. So not just the 6 seconds, but above and beyond as well.
Cool.
See, I think the typical like half-hour sitcom is short. I'm like, wow, it's not even a full 30 minutes. It's like 22 minutes. That's kind of short.
You like the 3.5-hour epics, right?
Yeah,
That's your standard. Yeah.
I can binge watch go a while without seeing it, and then like an hour-long drama, watch a couple episodes.
That's right.
Of course, I've sat down and read like a 300-page book in a day too. So if it's really good, it catches your attention.
That's right. I actually just recently read, because I'm going to watch the miniseries, Man in the High Castle.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
Have you guys read or seen the
pilot's very
the
good.
Amazon? Is it good?
Mm-hmm.
We saw the pilot. It is so good.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
It's going to be a good show, I think.
Yeah. See, you do the opposite of me. I watch it before I read it, because if I read something first, I never whatever I watch never measures up.
Really?
Yeah. So I want to read the Hunger Games, but I'm waiting until I watch all the movies, because I know if I read it and then I go watch it, I am not going to like it nearly as much as reading it.
That's because your imagination is just so much better, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and you always have to leave stuff out, because of time and everything. And it seems to me like they always leave out the stuff I like the best. And everything.
Absolutely.
That happened in Jurassic Park. I watched that whole movie, and I was amazed at the dinosaurs. I mean, that was just, it blew me away. But at the same time, I kept waiting going, okay, seriously, like I'm looking for the pterodactyl, and then the river scene with the Tyrannosaurus with them on the river. And I just, where is it?
You're waiting for the anticipation. It's different for me, and it really depends on what the property is. Like for Hunger Games, I probably won't read because I'm just so enthralled in the world they've already created. But for it really depends on who it is and what the property is. For me, once I know like the essence of a story, I don't necessarily want to go back and then read it. Like if I've seen it, because then it kind of clouds my judgment a little bit on that side. But for a world like this, and if you're not familiar, Man in the High Castle is an alternate history of if the Axis powers won World War II, and I just for me, I have my version of that, and I just really, that's such a big world that I just need to see how somebody else has kind of imagined it and created it. So I'm really excited to watch it.
Yeah. If everybody read it, watch it, it's really thought provoking, and it's really, I mean, you're not going to be bored for anything watching this. That's for sure.
So don't watch Ambient. Watch Man in the High Castle.
No, watch Ambient.
Ambient first, then
warm up with Ambient.
Yeah, Ambient. It's online. Go watch it, and get that out of your system. Then watch that.
Yeah.
There you go.
And the series got greenlit, but it's not out yet. Just the pilot, so might as well wait. Watch
So
Ambient.
whet your creative appetite on Forge Apollo.
There we go. That's
Really?
it's all going towards that.
And get your mental stimulation, and then your brain will be so primed to enjoy the other.
That's right.
How did I do?
great.
Sure.
Did I do all right?
Sure. So, when we have web series people on,
We have web series
whatever
people on?
occupation it would be, we usually ask if they could give some tips for their occupation, for example. So, because we have web series creators listening, is there any kind of tips, advice you might give?
Yeah, there's a lot.
Go!
In alphabetical order.
Don't let anybody tell you about how to create your show, because every show is different, and right now the space is just evolving so fast. If I would go back and do Ambient now, I would probably have waited and got more money and actually made it into a film. But that's just now, because we know the way that the space evolved. We know everything is just a little more refined, and the space is going to continue to evolve. But just really look at like what the core is of your show, whether it's scripted or whether it's, something completely different or hosted. Look at that and let that and what the essence and what the story is of your series and of your show kind of lead you to everything about it, of how much, money, if any, do you want to spend on it, what props, what cameras, what do you actually need, and just, kind of start backwards. Start with like what the show is, and don't worry about all the minutia of getting from one place to the other. But then on the other side of that, watch a lot of shows online, follow people that you admire, and figure out what they're doing right, what maybe that they're doing wrong, and find a place that's you and not trying to necessarily be somebody else.
And what's the future for Forge Apollo? What plans do you have
That you can tell us.
that you can tell us? Projects you have in the works?
We actually shot not too long ago. We shot our first feature film, which is, I can tell you the name, but I can't tell you much about it. But it's called Diary of a Psychopath, and it's
Well, you can guess.
You could guess a little bit about what it's about. But
It's about Mother Teresa, right? Oh,
that's
I'm
right.
wrong.
That's right. Absolutely.
All right. Yeah.
No, it's actually a really fun film, and I'd love to tell you guys a little bit more about it. But we are still working in post on it, and we're hoping that we can get it out and done by the end of summer of this year. We shot it last May now. It's coming up on a year since we actually shot it, and we're just, if you've ever shot a feature or anything over about 20 minutes, you know how long some time it takes to complete project, especially ones that need some graphics and a lot of like sound design and need to be filled out a little bit more. Mm-hmm. So we're working on that, and we're continuing to run as a digital content studio for companies and for other agencies, and creating just branded content and other digital series for, with brands as partnerships. And then we have one other show that should be coming out here pretty soon that I'm really, really excited about. The first episode is actually fully done. It's called Cubicle Zombies. It's our first animation that we've ever made. And it's really cool. And if you guys want to go on our youtube.com/Forge Apollo, you can see the trailer for it. It's just a quick teaser, but we're hoping that soon we'll be able to get the first episode out.
Okay, I love that title because I've worked in cubicle land, and you can actually feel your life and your soul drain out of you to the point that someone would have to pump life back into your body for you to even become a zombie. So I think that's awesome.
There you go.
You can tell I wasn't real happy about that job.
I just a little bit, yeah.
A little bitter.
But it's a really fun show, and the animation is awesome. So there's some actually potential big things that are happening with it right now. So we've been kind of delaying putting it out, but hopefully next time that we're back on the show, we'll be able to talk a little bit more about that one.
Very cool. It's exciting. You kind of mentioned in there, but just again, before we go, can you tell our listeners where they can find you and your shows online?
Yeah, you can find everything about Forge Apollo at forgeapollo.com. or you can just start streaming and watching everything on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/ForgeApollo.
Cool.
Thanks for having me on again, guys. And again, Ryan says hello, and he unfortunately will not be at IAW TV's awards, but you'll be able to meet the cast of Blitz is all going to be there, and one of our other producers, Stacy. So I can't wait to meet you guys, see you guys in person. Yeah,
look for us there.
All right, guys. I look forward to it. Thanks again.
Hi, this is Robert Grant, author of Writing the Science Fiction Film, and you're listening to GenreTainment.
Well, thanks again, Gabe, for the fun interview, and we look forward to seeing how much more Forge Apollo grows when we have you on the show again.
Coming up on our next episodes, we will be speaking with professional actor Michael Laskin, talking about his 35 years working in film, television, theater, and voiceovers. He's also the author of the new book, The Authentic Actor, The Art and Business of Being Yourself.
And we'll also be speaking to the writer and director of the science fiction film Parallels. And we have more web series fun coming up with our interview with Britton Valenti, the creator of sci-fi web series Interrogation. Also, before we go, we want to remind you that you can keep track of us on our GenreTainment Facebook page, Marx's Twitter account, which is @MrMarx, our website at GenreTainment.com, or all of the shows at SciFiPulseRadio.com.
So that's it for today's GenreTainment. We'll be back soon with all new guests from our favorite films, TV shows, novels, and web series.
GenreTainment is a production of Alien Junglebug Productions. Until next time. Bad monkey.